Hello there again and welcome to The Pulse. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We're on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air. You can get us on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. This is JoyNews, independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group questions why only 2 Chinese nationals have been remanded in spite of the arrest of hundreds of foreign nationals over the years for illegal mining. We'll engage leadership of the group, which has petitioned the Attorney General and the Inspector General of Police, as well as the Ghana Immigration Service, to investigate the matter. We'll bring you details shortly. Meanwhile, government is under intense pressure to ensure the effective prosecution of Galamsey Kingpin Aisha Huang. We'll hear from the Minority Leader, Haruna Idrisu, who's leading that charge.
As Parliament resumes, I'll file a question in the name of the Minority Leader for the Minister of Interior to provide a list of foreign nationals arrested and being prosecuted.
We have all that coming up here. Plus, the Ghana Police Service is also rejecting claims this afternoon that it took custody of some missing excavators in the Elembele district of the Western region. Stay for details as we speak to the District Chief Executive for the area, Mr. Kwesi Bonso, who has been fingered by the police as a prime suspect. What's his response to all? And this afternoon, 2 environmental non-governmental organizations, the Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group, being led also by Arocha Ghana, is leading that course and asking and questioning the authorities as to why we are not having more of the foreign nationals being prosecuted in relation to involving themselves in illegal mining. In spite of the arrest of hundreds of nationals, the group is advocating that the authorities would have to act fast and to crack down on illegal mining. The call is coming in the wake of the arrest of Galamsey Kingpin Aisha Huang, who's been reportedly making her way back into the country, who was also picked up by the security agencies a few days ago. But the advocacy group is asking for some measures to be enrolled. I would put that on the screens for you shortly. But let me bring in Darrell Boso now, who's the National Deputy National Director for Arocha Ghana, joining us via Zoom. Thank you for your time here on The Pulse. So you're leading this campaign, but first of all, help us understand what your exact concerns are. Is it the case that you believe that the issue of illegal mining will be stopped permanently if we crack down on foreigners?
Thank you very much. So, Bless, we appreciate the opportunity. This campaign is both being led by Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group and Arocha Ghana. The issue is not the fact that if we deal with foreigners punitively to resolve our problem, but the issue is that we need to ensure fair administration of justice in this country, and particularly looking at the issue of Galamsey, the impunity, the emboldened attitude with which these illegal perpetrators are engaging their activities means that we really need to do something right. And so far, what we have realized that we are not doing so well is the bit on ensuring that prosecution is fair and covers all people without any favor of any people, particularly for people who are politically exposed. Now, if you take a look also at the report that was coming from the 4th Estate, they made an inquiry using the RTI and requested for information from the Ghana prison, how many Chinese are within our cells or jail. And it came out that only 2 Chinese people are in the cells. And you ask yourself, what really took them there? I mean, if you remember and recall how many Chinese have been arrested on countless occasions and paraded, and in respect of Galamsey, you ask yourself, why do we have only 2 Chinese nationals in our prisons? And this for us is worrying. And we have also been complaining about the fact that there seems to be a problem with enforcing the law. The government seems to be having challenges. We've had Vanguard time and time again, but nothing really is happening in terms of addressing the issue. So it means that there's something wrong with the whole process. Once arrest is made, we need to ensure that prosecution is also done fairly, and that is not happening. That's why we are concerned, because if you really look at it, a lot of Ghanaians are just at the bottom of the pyramid when it comes to mining. But those who are at the top, who are the Chinese, who are the big politically exposed persons, they manage to escape the law. And this is something that is not helpful for building a country that claims to be run by the rule of law. And that is why we thought that we make an inquiry from the IGP and also from the Minister of Justice why this is happening.
But then, obviously, you're also asking that some transparency be provided on the matter in terms of how many cases are being prosecuted. What problem would that solve, by the way?
I think our request is for an accounting. So when we say accounting, we do not only want to know how many people have been prosecuted and all of that, but it also tells you what is really happening. You cannot be arresting so many people, parading them all the time, but if you go, it means that if you go down to check in our prisons and also in terms of cases that have been successfully prosecuted, nothing is done. It means that there's something wrong with the law, with the compliance mechanisms that we have in place. And as you know, we've been talking about Galamsey for a long time. This also more or less reflects the kind of weakness in terms of ensuring that the compliance bit supports the policy. And this is where the missing gap is. We have good policies. We talked about good regulations and also regulations and compliance regimes, but we are not enforcing it. And this is where we can track what exactly is happening and know where to ensure that we close the bottlenecks.
And then to the specifics about Aisha Huang, who obviously is now in the custody of the security agencies. What's your expectation from government on this? The obvious thing is to call for the prosecution, but the belief is that this goes way beyond her.
Well, I think we made a big mistake as a country. The president admitted it. We need to now take the opportunity and correct the past by making sure that the full provisions within the law is applied, nothing less than 20 years and then deportation. We will not tolerate any further deportation without subjecting her to the laws of the land. And this is something that has been a weakness within the enforcement regime for addressing Galamsey and the involvement of foreign nationals, particularly the Chinese. So it is our expectation that government will take the opportunity and not repeat the mistakes of the past. Not that we don't expect anything less.
And there are some legal concerns also emerging. But at this point, let me also bring into the conversation, Daryl, the co-founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens, Aulasawa, who's also joining us. Thank you for your time. So you've also been monitoring what it is that government intends to do with this particular case. But there are some concerns as well about the identity involved in as to whether or not the lawyers for the foreign national involved in this particular case could challenge her own identity. Of course, we're claiming that this is the same Aisha Huang who's made her way into the country. Some say it's not enough to say that in court. What's your thought?
I can say that I don't see what the concerns are. We have her identity. We have her fingerprints. We know that the person before us is the same person who was deported in 2019, who has come back. I should think that before she was deported or before she was arrested the first time, so there were some processes. Her fingerprints would have been taken, her photo would have been taken. Therefore, we can compare the two fingerprints and we can see that we are talking about the one and the same person. I don't really see any difficulties.
But then, we are then supposing that, of course, the institutions such as the Immigration Service and other security agencies would have that intact. Knowing the circumstances under which she was extradited to China, we do know that this is a powerful person we're talking about. Her ability to even come back into this country, possess, for instance, the Ghana card, raises a lot of questions about what may happen to her identity.
I mean, the only question to be raised is how we're enforcing our own rules and regulations. To me, that's the question to be raised. Why she was not sentenced and made to serve a sentence before she was deported. But that's neither here nor there. We are where we are now. She has been arrested. We know that the person who has been arrested is the person who was engaging in illegal activities. She should be charged, put before the court. And as Daryl has rightly said, she should be sentenced. And then after she has served her sentence, she can be deported. If we are a sovereign country and we are prepared to enforce our rules and regulations, I honestly don't foresee any problems. We need to get to the bottom of this. I can't go to China and break the laws with impunity because a sovereign country like China is not going to allow it. If any foreign nationals are able to do this, we don't blame the foreign nationals, we blame ourselves for not enforcing our own laws and regulations. We need to look in the mirror.
And personally, what do you make of government's fight against illegal mining? Because some say, looking at the arrest of Aisha Huang, it goes to prove the fact that government is committed to the cause and that the security agencies are on top of their job in terms of cracking down on illegal mining. Is that your reading into this case?
Well, when I'm looking at illegal mining, what is being done, I look at the state of our rivers. So we can jump up and down, we can do anything. If the state of our rivers are what they are, and as was said earlier on, some culprits are paraded every now and again, but the illegal mining by Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians goes on with impunity, then it's difficult to say that there's any seriousness being attached to illegal mining. The facts speak for themselves. Behind you, we can see what is going on. I mean, the state of our waters and Water and Sewage Corporation telling us that if things continue as they are, we might have to import water. Is there any seriousness in our tackling illegal mining? I leave that answer to viewers.
Interesting point there. And Daryl, we do know that your group, together with that of Awolasawa, have raised even concerns about what's happening to our strategic forest reserves, such as the Itiwa landscape. That comes to the front burner again, looking at what the concerns are as to how we're not cracking down seriously on illegal mining. For you, is this a justification that government would have to review that process of bauxite mining? And of course, you're painting that picture to us of how dire the consequences may be.
Yes, I think the issue is about how as a country we value our resources and the extent to which we ensure that it is used judiciously. Our agreement with China, which is, and as we heard from the senior minister some years back, the fact that because we have an economic arrangement with China, we are allowing them to get away with all of these things is quite unfair. And that shouldn't be the thinking with which we attach to the resources that we have. They have more value than we just attaching some economic value now. And that's why we are saying that government should explore and revalue the trade-offs well before they even consider giving out Atiwa Forest as part of any arrangement that is economically benefiting the political economy. We need to be very, very judicious with the way we use our resources. We cannot say that because of some peanuts we're getting from a country like China, we then allow our sovereignty to be taken away because of all of that. And so for us, we still stand by what we're indicating, that government should look at a more long-term judicious way of using our resources, paying much attention to the trade-offs. And that's for us is what is important. It's not that we can't get bauxite elsewhere, but water you cannot get elsewhere. So let's really pay attention to that and make sure that we do not allow others to determine the cause and way by which we should use our natural resources, like the way the Chinese people are doing now.
Anyway, I want you all to hold on for me, Sawa and Daryl. There's also some heat coming through from Parliament because the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, is also pushing for the prosecution of Aisha Huang. Just take a listen. We'll bring that.
Arrested in 2017 and charged with undertaking small-scale mining operations contrary to the law. However, she was deported to China in 2018, a move which attracted widespread public criticism. Former Senior Minister Yawa Safo-Mafo justified government's decision.
The main company that is helping develop the infrastructure system in Ghana is It's a Chinese company. There are other things behind the scenes. Putting that lady in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your economic problem.
Aisha Huang slipped into the country through the Togo border, having changed her identity and returned to her Galamsey business in the Ashanti region. She and 3 others were arrested upon intelligence by the National Security. Court documents available to JoyNews showed she had changed her name to Huang Rushia. She has been charged with engaging in the sale and purchase of minerals without valid license and engaging in mining without license. Member of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee, Edward Bauer, wants government to demonstrate seriousness in prosecuting her, this time around.
She knows that she will come when they arrest her. Worst case scenario, she self uses her network to find a way of freeing herself. And that's why she could dare to come back to this country. So I just hope that this time Aisha will be used as an example to other foreigners who engage in these things in our country.
Aisha Wang has pleaded not guilty to all the charges and has been remanded to police custody. She's expected to reappear on September 14.
Once Parliament resumes, I'll file a question in the name of the minority leader for the Minister of Interior to provide the list of foreign nationals arrested and being prosecuted. So she should consider that will be done early October. As a follow-up, now on her petition to Parliament, I believe the Public Affairs Secretariat of Parliament will respond appropriately. But I should say that the Speaker, Albans Bagbin, is very active to the task. There is a problem with how Parliament deals with petitions. So part of the amendment to our standing orders will be to deal with it. You see, when you bring the petition, it has to be tabled and probably a member will have to take it up. That is not how petitions are handled globally across the world. Now, to borrow her words, but mockery of the rule of law. She says mockery of the legal system. Now, to answer Lizzie, one is back because Ghana is profitable for her and she has a favor of the elite political system, nothing more. That's why she can breach our law with such impunity.
But Parliament has also failed us in this regard.
Parliament has failed Ghana in many respects. I'll share some with you as we dance along.
But in this case, you agree that you have failed us. Why that? Why did you sit aloof for this to happen?
I say Parliament have failed us in many respects. Not being responsive, not being too transparent, and not being accountable, and not protective of the public purse because of excessive.
Okay, the issue about Parliament now. Let me start off with you, Sogah.
Yes, I mean, Parliament has their responsibilities, but I think that right now, if we want to get to the bottom of this, we have to look at our enforcement regime. For me, that's where the problem lies, our enforcement regime. Ghanaians, foreigners, anybody engaging in illegal mining, and even when they are engaging in legal mining, if they are not following the processes they should follow under their license, the law should take its course. And I think the problem we are having is that the law is not taking its course. But I want to go further and say that we have big problems ahead. It's not just the question of not enforcing laws. It's also the question of not knowing what our interests are. We need to show a little bit of leadership in preserving our natural resources. If we don't take care, we will not have any drinking water. And I think this is a very, 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 very serious point. It's not just Ghana. There's also the same thing happening in parts of Nigeria. We really, really need to sit up. And I think we can use her as a scapegoat, and she rightly deserves to be prosecuted. She rightly deserves to be jailed. But more importantly, we need to look at what is before us, the destruction of our environment done with licenses. We are looking at what may happen with Atiwa Forest Reserve if sense does not prevail. So that's the point I'll make, that we can focus on Aisha, but I think we should look at the broader and bigger picture. What is happening to our environment?
Of course, we need to state at this moment that JoyNews is learning that the Attorney General is taking some further action on this. He's asking for the dockets on Aisha who want to be submitted to his office, obviously giving us some signal. And that, of course, news just coming through for us. We'll be following up on that for you. But Daryl, if that's what the Attorney General is asking for, it appears that indeed your demands may be looked at this point. Is that your hope?
Yes, I think this is long overdue, and as Awula said, you realize that if we can deal with this Aisha 1 issue, we will have been able to deal with the big canker that is plaguing our law enforcement regime here when it comes to natural resources. So now it's a vicious cycle. It goes round and round. It always comes back to us, and we don't deal with it like Ashawan. If we can now deal with it, get to the bottom of it, that will be solving a big problem. So we are looking forward to how the government takes this forward. Yes, we tend to put pressure on the blame on the foot of the parliament, but I think it's the executive and the judiciary who need to really take a big chunk of the blame in this and make sure that we do not have this mistake repeating itself.
But rarely are we being fair to the foreign nationals. It's as though we are fixated on the Chinese.
That's why we are saying that we need to look at our laws and regulations. It doesn't matter who is doing it. Yes, the Chinese are causing a lot of harm. There's no way we can get around that. But who is allowing them to do so? Can anybody just waltz into China and break their laws? No, because this is a sensible country which takes their rules and regulations very seriously. If we don't, and anybody, and let me make it quite clear, Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians can break the law with impunity. And if they have the right connections, nothing happens. We can make a big example out of Aisha. But what we need to do is ask ourselves what is going on in this country. And I'll harp upon it. It's not, we need to investigate matters. And it's the police who investigate, not the judiciary. The judiciary come into it when the person has been put before them. So yes, if she's brought before them and the proper sentence is not given, then we can blame the judiciary. But from where I'm looking at right now, it's the beginning stages. She needed to be arrested, which she was, and what happened afterwards. But I think more importantly, we really, really, really need to look at enforcement. If we're not ready to enforce anything, we should all just sit there and allow our country to be totally destroyed. And I really respect the organizations who have come together and have said enough is enough. The government must do something. But it's a bigger picture than this Chinese national. It's not just the Chinese who are breaking the law. It's anybody who wants to do so.
We need to be wrapping up at this point, but I'm putting that question to both of you. So I'll start off with Darrell. Will this ever end?
A big question, and we want this to end, and we are asking government to start listening to the people. So far, we've had we have so many discussions, so many dialogues and all of that. But what we have seen is that the government is not listening enough to the people, what CSOs are saying, what institutions are saying, and the enforcement is still lacking. If we deal with those aspects, this will eventually come to an end.
Sawa, for you?
I'll say that it will end when we want it to end. It will only end when we want it to end. When we decide that we are ready to enforce our laws and regulations and deal with anybody, whether they are well connected or not, whether they're in the party or not, who is engaging in illegal activities, we're focusing on mining, it will end. If we are not prepared and the political will isn't there, we'll continue dancing around things and we'll never get to the bottom of the problem. So yes, it will end when we want it to end. The ball is in our court.
I'm grateful, Aula, co-founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens, and Darrell also with Arocha Ghana. Thank you for joining us. In fact, there's more on illegal mining because in the Elembele district as well, we're picking some details of the police service denying having custody of some excavators. We'll tell you all about that when we come back from this break. Please stay. And you're welcome back to The Pulse. The Ghana Police Service is this afternoon rejecting claims that it took custody of some missing excavators in the Elembele district of the Western region. On your screens now, you have a copy of a statement released over the weekend by the Ghana Police Service indicating their concerns on the matter. It reads that the Western Regional Police Command has noted with concern a response in that's in the Friday, 2nd of September 2022 edition of the Chronicle newspaper, which alleges that some 2 excavators which were in the custody of the police at Elembele have disappeared. We wish to state categorically that no excavators were handed over to the police by the district chief executive of the area, Mr. Kwesi Bonzo, or any other person from the assembly. The statement continues to say that we therefore urge the public to disregard the publication and treat it with contempt it deserves. Meanwhile, the district chief executive, his personal assistant, and one other person are being investigated in connection with the alleged missing excavators. We wish to assure the public that anybody implicated in the case and in the course of the investigation will be taken through that due process of law. And that's the statement we're receiving from the Ghana Police Service on this. But we're fortunate to be having now join us via Zoom the District Chief Executive for the area, Mr. Kwesi Bonzo. It's good to be talking to you now. And of course, the first question will be about your investigation. The Ghana Police Service appears to have done some investigations which is giving them initial findings that may suggest that in terms of the disappearance of the excavators, you have a hand in that. What's your response to that?
Good afternoon, Bless. I think since the statement was issued by the Ghana Police on Saturday, there have been a few developments that has changed the whole scenario. Because I have never said anywhere that I handed over excavators to the police. Indeed, I'm the complainant in this whole issue of missing excavators. I complained to the Ghana Police Service that I requested policemen to keep watch over 2 excavators that had been impounded from an illegal mining site that was supposed to be transported to the secondary for prosecution by the Attorney General as a exhibit. So in this case, if the police is investigating, I have a lot to offer because so far I've given the police enough details that should allow them, that should enable them to conduct whatever investigation that the police want to conduct into finding the excavators. My interest is that those 2 excavators have to be found because excavators, for heaven's sake, are not like boxes of matches which can just be put in somebody's pocket and disappear. Now, the background to the issue is that on Tuesday, the 30th of August, we had information about some illegal mining activities going on at Nkroful in my district. I was there in Accra on an official assignment for a meeting with the Petroleum Commission at the Petroleum Commission headquarters. So I instructed the District Mining Committee and some members of DISEC to move to the site. That is when they saw those 2 excavators causing havoc to our environment and instructed that those excavators should be packed. When it was packed on Wednesday morning, around 9:30, when they spotted the excavators being packed at the Tilikubu Castle, I was informed. Then I also informed the regional minister who said I should transport excavators to Pepari so that the Attorney General could take over the matter. And as you know, excavators cannot be tracked on a road. It has to be put on low beds. So whilst we are arranged to get low beds to transport it, I asked the district DNA officer and the member of the mining committee, through whose effort the excavators were impounded, to contact the police and request for police protection over those excavators. So technically, the excavators were not handed over to the police, but then we requested for the police protection, knowing very well that without police protection, those excavators.
So in less than 24 hours after you gave that directive, the excavators are nowhere to be found?
Yeah, so what happened was that the police provided protection from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
That's shocking. I mean, the excavator that we're talking about now, it's not some sort of a salon car that, well, someone could just make away with. And just as you're indicating, you need bigger equipment to try and trail that. So how come that you're not able to provide protection for this piece of equipment?
Yeah, that's the source of the investigation now, because according to the police, at the time, they didn't have enough men. So the division commander, who dispatched 2 constables to keep watch over the excavators from 2 to 6 p.m., they left the excavators. But subsequently, there have been some contradictions in statement and public interview of the division commander. This morning, I spoke to the regional police commander, who assured me that the police came back yesterday. They are very much on top of the investigation, and I believe that, knowing what I know,
yeah, but I mean,
really want to find a
because the fear is, I mean, looking at the history of this country and the issue of missing excavators, I mean, I personally doubt if we would find these excavators.
No, I have every confidence in the police that will find excavators.
Where will you find them? Where will you find the excavators?
We have provided enough details. If you look at the pictures and the videos, we provided pictures of the operators of the excavator, pictures of the excavator itself, including chassis numbers, every single detail that should enable the police to find the excavator.
I mean, you're in charge of the District Security Council. The issue about intelligence and, for instance, what the security agencies are telling you about the whereabouts of this piece of equipment, do you suspect, first of all, that it may have been moved out of the area? Kwesi Bonzo, are you with us?
Yeah, it's been moved out of where it was parked, but as to whether it is in the out of the location where it was parked, but as to whether it is still in the district or outside the district, that is what we cannot tell. But I believe that with concerted effort, the excavator should be found, because excavators cannot just vanish overnight, and that has been my complaint from day one. Of course, the Chronicle reportage misrepresented it to make it as if that the excavators were at the police station. They were not at the police station. They were parked at the roadside on the instructions of the BNI officer. But we requested the police to keep protection over it. That is why the police are interested in, I'm sure the police themselves are interested in knowing who ordered the excavators to be taken away. So this is not a matter. Look, the issue of illegal mining, I've been following the conversation this afternoon from your various panelists.
Right.
I must say that it's a very complex issue. It's a complex socioeconomic issue that needs concerted effort, collective responsibility. All hands need to be on deck to fight this illegal mining. If we leave it to the government or the law enforcement agencies alone, in the community where this excavator was parked and where it was moved, I believe that at the time the excavator was being moved, there are some individuals who might have seen those excavators. So any investigation should give us clues. Excavators could not just find their way into the community. I believe that there are individuals behind this whole act, which is affecting every one of us. So, and yesterday, to add to this information, some items that personally I found at the illegal mining site were found in a house near where the excavator was parked. So we have reported that to the police. The police have gone to the location, and I believe that should give them the leads, some leads as to how to go after and find those excavators we are talking about.
Your area is very notorious when it comes to issues of illegal mining. In fact, we saw some of your, residents, particularly the youth, go on rampage, attack the police station in one of the localities where, of course, Galamsey is rife. Given that this has happened again, there are fears that may further complicate the security concerns within the area if the police intends to crack down once more on persons who have made away with this excavator. What do you intend to do to ensure that there's calm, first of all, so that we have the security agencies go after the excavators?
This is absolutely non-negotiable. We cannot, as a state, as a nation, we cannot tolerate this level of lawlessness. We cannot tolerate this instance where people want to take the law into their hands because they claim they are unemployed. If you are unemployed, that doesn't give you license to go and commit crime. So I have given the police every backing as chairman of the District Security Council. And I'm calling on everybody in this district that those perpetrators should be found and be brought to book. So the police, like I said, the regional commander of the police this morning assured me that having done their preliminary investigation, they are on top of it. I have every confidence in the institution of the Ghana Police Service. You know, the Ghana Police Service is a big institution. The regional command took over the investigation from the divisional command. And I believe that, given the information that we have provided to the Ghana Police Service, they should be able to find these excavators.
In fact, some groups are beginning to call for heads to roll, and one of them has got to do with your office as well. The fact that you need to pay a price for allowing the excavators to go missing. Do you take personal responsibility for what has happened?
What is our crime here? We, as an assembly, on the very day that we got wind of this illegal mining issue, moved to site to stop the illegal miners and impounded their excavators, which was parked at a location the next day, Wednesday, 9 o'clock, until 2 o'clock when we asked the police to take over and watch over the excavators until it got missing. So rather, we should be applauded. We should be applauded that having come to our notice as an assembly, within 24 hours, we stopped the activity. We halted it. Look, Galamsey is like any other crime. No DC, no assembly will have the gift of clairvoyance to be able to forecast that there will be Galamsey here, there will be Galamsey there, today, tomorrow. We can only react when information comes, is made available to us about their operations. And that's exactly what we did. So how do we take responsibility over an issue that we dealt with decisively? And the word is, we dealt with it decisively.
First of all, who gave this order for the excavator to be parked where it was in the first place?
The BNI officer, the district BNI, now it's NIB, National Intelligence Bureau, who is a member of the District Security Council, together with the district immigration officer, who is also a member of DISEC, plus a member of the district mining committee, all of which have the mandate to fight illegal mining.
Was that approved? Was that approved? Was that decision approved by the chairperson of the council at the district level?
They went on my instructions because I was out of the jurisdiction.
So you gave the instruction that they should park the excavators where it was parked?
I gave the instructions that they should go to
the so why not your assembly anyway? And why allow them to park the excavators where, of course, anyone at all could have made away with it?
No. At the time, they made the excavators at the illegal mining site. Maybe let me put it in the proper perspective so that your viewers will understand. They went to the illegal mining site as was reported to us. So that's when they saw the excavators, 2 excavators, working very hard, and the level of destruction that are taking place within 24 hours. I mean, any reasonable human being should be concerned. So they halted the activities and instructed that the excavators should be parked. Unless you are telling me that they should have allowed the excavators.
That's not what I'm saying. My point is, you asked them to stop doing the extraction, and then you left the excavators where exactly that illegality was being perpetrated. It's as though you were not interested in moving the equipment. That's a vehicle, in as much as it's also being used in illegal mining.
Now, the excavators can only be moved with a low bed. It cannot be tracked on the road. So they parked it, and they were looking for a low bed to transport the excavators to Secondary. That is why it's strange to me that excavators that cannot be driven on the road just got vanished. Definitely, it must have been an organized activity. Somebody might have brought a low bed to take away the excavators. That is why I went to the police station and requested that those excavators should be found. So I was a complainant. I was the first who complained to the police that, hey, we requested for policemen to protect these excavators whilst we secured low beds to transport the excavators to Secondary. It cannot get missing. And that's where we are now. So obviously, the movement of the excavator was not by accident. Somebody must have brought a low bed into the district and transported the excavators on the low bed.
Okay, let me give you a minute for us to wrap up. What's your expectation of, the IGP and the regional command and those you've been working with on this matter?
Speaking with the regional commander this morning, it exudes a lot of confidence that the police really understand the issues that I have raised. My issue is that I'm not here to blame the police. I want the excavators found. That's what we want as an assembly, so that the perpetrators can be brought to book. Because 2 excavators that were impounded at the illegal mining site For the owners to even have the impunity to come and take the excavators away is bad enough. So I'm requesting that the police should help us find those 2 excavators and deal with the owners of the excavators as the perpetrators of the crime of illegal mining in my district.
Okay.
Currently, that is the only site where illegal mining is taking place. And any other illegal mining activity that come to my notice, I will deal with it decisively as chairman of BISEC. It doesn't matter whose us is God. I have not tolerated illegal mining, and this is not the time to tolerate illegal mining under any circumstance in Elembele District.
Okay, we'll see about that, and definitely we'll be tracking the issues. But I'm grateful, Kwesi Bonzo, for your time here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. Work on the $993 million Palugu multi-purpose dam project in the northeast and upper east regions has been suspended. A visit by Joy News to the project sites at Kurugu and Saribang in the West Mamprasi municipality confirmed that the contractor has since evacuated his equipment and staff from the area. Staff of the construction firm who spoke to Joy News at Saribang indicated that they had abandoned the project after the government failed to access a Chinese loan facility to finance the construction of the project. Correspondent Elias Tanko has more.
On November 29, 2019, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his vice, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, led a raft of other appointees of the government to cut the saw to commence construction of the Palugu multi-purpose dam project. The project, estimated to cost $999 million, was touted as the largest investment any government has ever injected into infrastructure expansion in the northern sector. The dam was to be built near the Palugu Bridge on the White Volta River with a maximum reservoir area of 350 kilometers and a powerhouse consisting of 2 turbines with a capacity of 60 megawatts and 16.5 megawatts that are to complement each other to provide reliable and stable electricity supply to the national grid. Upon completion, the project would have served as a source of electricity and also help improve farming irrigation in local communities in the farming area and improve water supply in the north with an irrigation scheme covering an area of 25,000 hectares. And most importantly, the multi-purpose dam, when completed, would have also been a vital catalyst in solving the perennial flooding in parts of the north that lie within the flowway of the Bagre Dam upstream Burkina Faso. The project construction was to be funded with a loan from China, where it was expected to take about 3.5 years to complete. However, almost 3 years after the sword cutting ceremony, work on the project is not only yet to start, but the contractor has moved out of the site. Joy News visited the 2 locations at Kurugu and Saribang in the West Mamprasi municipality, where the contractor has set up his camp for the construction and found that all equipment and materials had been evacuated and at least one of the camp had been taken over by weeds.
The site is currently at Kurugu in the West Mamprasi municipality of the Northeast region. Behind me, what you see here is a remnant of the facility. The contractor had already brought in some materials and he had fenced the entire site, ready to bring in his contractors to start work. Last year when we came, we saw the huge presence of the contractor here by way of his equipment and other implement that had been brought in here to start the hydropower component of the Palugu multi-purpose dam. Today, I can report that the contractor has completely evacuated from site.
And what is left here, of course, at the mercy of the weather, are these small heaps of sand and stones and a few blocks with no sign of recent activity. Also at Saribang, where the camp for the construction of the irrigation component of the project was set up, similar observations were made. Here we met a caretaker who gave us access to and took us around the facility. Speaking anonymously to Joy News, the caretaker said these facilities were being constructed to house the contractor, his staff, as well as officials of the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority. According to him, the contractor evacuated from the site in May after the government could not access the Chinese loan facility to finance the project. He disclosed that the contractor was now engaged in the construction of the Swami Runabout project in the Ashanti regional capital city. The state of the Pualugu multipurpose dam project has been a source of great worry for the overlord of Mampurugu, now Bahagu Abdullahi Mohamed Sheriga, who during a recent visit of the region by the president sought to know when the dam will be completed.
Your Excellency, on November 29, 2019, soil was cut for the construction of the Pualugu multipurpose dam project. However, Your Excellency, let me say that the project is going at the snail pace. And I would therefore like to urge government, and you in particular, to speed up process that will see to the completion of this very important project for us.
And residents of Gogwana and adjoining communities in the Ashanti region live in fear as a two-year-old eats rapidly into the portions, gully actually eats into the portions of the road. Now, almost 5 feet gaping gully is a ticking time bomb ready to wreak havoc as road users, of course, dangerously ply the roads. There's more in this report for you.
The Kokwanu Road is one of the main deplorable road links within the Efija-Kwabre district. Road users dread plying. The entire road, stretching a little over 1 kilometer, is riddled with potholes and yet to be graded for any road construction. A disturbing and glaring sight on the road is this huge gully eroding portions of the road.
What you find me standing in is not just any ordinary well, but one that has emanated from gully erosion. The gully has eaten into portions of this road, leaving only one side of the road for the drivers to use.
In an attempt to curb any disaster, a concerned resident has in the past 2 years constructed a sandbag defense to prevent spillage when it rains. But the strong water current will not allow the mini defense to last. We have family. The gully looked dangerous, so I fed some wood and filled sacks with sand to build a defense. But because the water current was stronger, it destroyed it. It's scary when it rains. No car is able to use the road. I always help the children cross the road. I even have sandbag built in front of my shop to prevent the waters from entering. In 2020, the government cut sod for the construction of a 9.5 kilometer stretch of roads in Etimitim and its surrounding communities, including Kokwano. But the project has since not been completed. Children of school-going age risk their lives commuting from home to school every day on this stretch. Fauzan Nadir Rahman and his friends are students of Tabia to Islamic Basic School in the neighborhood. They now trek for several minutes after their school bus got damaged by the deplorable road. Their teachers are not sparing them for their lateness. Because of the potholes, our school bus made unusual noise. We got stuck on the road some time ago. The bus's engine even got spoiled. The bus is now not working. Our teachers are always beating us for coming to school late. The situation is worse off for the younger folks when the rains set in. The place floods when it rains, so we always walk on the curb of the gutter to go to school. Prominent along the stretch are construction equipment left deteriorating by constructors after they ceased operating on the road. Portions of the open gutters constructed as part of the road project are also breaking down. The bumpy nature of the road has since forced many drivers at the community's taxi rank to drive through alternatively longer routes to the area. From here to Masi and its surrounding communities, the roads are very bad. We have to drive on the sides of the road. I am always servicing my car regularly.
a free Equaco, in short, Yetiminko, Obiada Romaga, Yequano, and my Yetiminia.
When it rains, we cannot use the road. Someone even had to grade the road for us to use. We are really suffering. We spend more than 45 minutes on the road.
It may take more than 45 minutes.
Petty traders and commercial drivers are reeling from the impacts of the road. They are calling on the authorities to fix the road. Residents and road users of Kokwano are hoping the road situation does not escalate, resulting in casualties before the government turns its eye to them. For Joy News, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
JoyNews channel, and swelling feet, crumpling bellies, and also occasional vomiting and general fatigue. Just a few of the rare and near unbearable experiences of a pregnant woman, especially in their third trimester. These experiences have for years proven to be potent barriers to the pursuit of higher education by many women in Ghana. Well, that's fast changing, at least at the University of Health and Allied Sciences. Many expectant and lactating mothers are beating the troubles of childbirth to actually acquire some degrees. There's more in this report.
The loud and maybe irritating cry of Baby Yao, which caught my attention at the entrance to the City Conference Hall, the venue for the 6th congregation ceremony of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho. I take a look around and notice even more babies swaddled in clothes or wrapped in slings under the sheds mounted outside the auditorium where families of the graduates sat. I wondered, were these kids of the graduates or their family members? Whatever the answer to that question was, Constance Amache had lived it in the past year, chasing a degree in midwifery.
Sometimes you get so tired and stressed out, vomiting and stuff, but later when I said no, where I've reached, I have to get to the point, to the top. Sometimes you don't close early, you eat outside, and you have, the baby doesn't like the outside food. Then you go in the evening, you'll be vomiting and the stress, keeping awake late. That one too, by the time you'll be having edema and stuff. And it's not easy.
These struggles did not go unnoticed by the university's management, at least not to the then Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor John Japon.
And today, most of the people who are graduating are from the sandwich group. And this is the group I enjoy most. They are a special breed. Some of them come fully pregnant. Some of them, when you admit them, it means you've admitted at least 3 people. Because they come with a house help and a baby. And when the lectures are going on, and you hear a shrill cry of a baby, even though there might be 4 or 5 ladies in that room who have babies out there, the right mother will get up and go. Because the mothers know the cries of their babies.
According to education think tank Africa Education Watch, the highest contributor to female attrition in schools is pregnancy. Structural deficiencies and incompatible lecture arrangements continue to hamper the ability of these women to stay in school. But in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 5, Professor Japon maintains that UHAS is committed to facilitating the enrollment of even more expectant and lactating mothers, all in a bid to boost gender equality.
Amaba Christiana, Ame Roberta, Ameya Millicent Fabia, Amachi Constancia.
And so as she sat among her colleague graduates, listening as their names were called out to receive the honor roll, the smiles on Constance's face was telling of the fulfillment in not allowing her once protruding belly to defeat her determination to bag that degree.
The pregnancy came by the way, and I told myself I can do it. And with the support of my husband to giving me a helping hand, I was able to. The icon spirit was able to penetrate through, and I became successful. Since you're married, you can't tell when you can. I'm a midwife, so you know the thing. So you can't say this is the time you have to get pregnant or not. It just came, and I have to move on. Yeah, that's why. And with the determination and focus, I told myself.
And so, if you ever thought about giving up on your dream of pursuing higher education because of pregnancy, here's something to say: you shouldn't, because you have all it takes right within you. Manuel Cranting, JoyNews. Ho in the Volta region.
And a very touching one there, obviously coming through from the Volta region. But that's where we draw the curtains on the polls. I'm blessed to log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates for you. We take a break.